Why is it failing? Hello? Hello. It's like there's a delay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, well, okay. Okay, well, we're going to. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not gonna. Drink break. Okay, I'm not really talking much, but I'm just. Let's close this down. Okay, get off of that. Oh, there I am. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have exited Twitch. Skip frames detected over the past 2 minutes, a few seconds ago. Okay, well, I don't know what the whole hell that means. Okay, so I'm back online. I had the cable guy come out checking my, like I said, had him checking my strength of my signal and coming in on into my router and my modem because I had a dropout the other day. Uh, so everything seems to be going good. I don't know what we're doing here. Let me. I'm on Twitch, but let's go multi-stream. Click over to multi-stream, stream chat, read only. Okay. So, should be on multi-stream now. So everything should be going out to everything, hopefully. Uh, hey, I'm Sillyman 3974. Uh, this is my just sort of chats. I'm just sort of chatting. I'm on my live screen right now from my office. Let's go back to just the chatting. Okay, so still working on this uh, layout here. I'm not having a whole lot of luck with it, but I'm trying to work it out the best I can. I'm also down here petting a kitty cat because I have two cats and he wants some attention. Um, okay, okay, come here, little man. There we go. This is now my kitty cat. That's Nimbus. That's my boy. That's my big boy. He's about 11 pounds. He's a big fella, but he's also a big chicken. He does not like having strange people in the house. He runs and hides. Don't know why, but he's so cute and fluffy. And yeah, I'm silly. Have been silly all my life, and I like being silly. Um, so, typically this chat is only I gear it more towards cooking and not a lot of talking. Right now my kitchen's still a bit of a disaster, and I need to get back into it and clean it up. But I haven't really come up with an idea of what I want to do. Yet I'm thinking about making some scones. A little bit about myself. I'm of Scottish descent, so I try to do a lot of stuff. I want to try and get some cream so I can demonstrate how to make clotted cream. And for those of you who are English or general Anglophiles, blah, blah, blah. Or those into the English culture or cuisine and history. I got into it more by chance than anything else. I've always been interested in my genealogy, so I've traced my genealogy back to Scotland, part of it anyways. Mostly I am of English, German, probably a little bit of Norwegian, and Scottish descent. I picked Scottish descent, but because nobody in my family has actually researched that side of my family. English side of my family's been well researched and documented, so I'm trying to document the other half of it. Part of my English heritage, ancestors, they originated from Norway, so that's where the Norwegian comes in. It's probably minor because they went from Norway to England and then from England to the U.S. So I don't know how long they stayed in England, but there's quite a history, approximately about 1,000 years worth of history on that side of which is on my mother's parents' side of the family. Her mom, or my grandmother, and my maternal grandmother, and my maternal grandfather. Nobody did my dad's side, which is German, or what they call Prussian, and then Scottish on my paternal grandmother's side of the family. It's English and Scottish. So I've always been drawn to the Celtic or Scottish music. Don't know why. And then I found out that I was part Scottish. And so that kind of answers that question. I listen to mostly Scottish traditional music. Some of the more modern stuff. I like Julie Fowlis. She can be found on Pandora, just Julie Fowlis Radio. She's probably best well known for a couple of songs she sang in the animated movie Brave. She was actually born in Scotland and on the island of Ulst, I think it is. And she sings mostly traditional Scottish songs, ballads, working songs, songs that the women sang while they worked. But the interesting thing is that she sings them in Scottish Gaelic, which is really kind of interesting. If you've never heard Scottish Gaelic before, it's an interesting language. I find it a quite beautiful language, but it's extremely difficult to learn. As an information note, even now, only about 2% of the Scottish population in Scotland actually speak Scottish Gaelic. It's starting to have a comeback, but for the longest time, from approximately 1746 on until the reign of Queen Victoria, and probably later than that, probably the early 19th century, early 20th century, the Scottish language was banned by England. They were trying to basically decimate the Scottish culture. The Highlands and the islands off of Scotland was the only places where the actual Scottish Gaelic language managed to survive. That's the only reason it's still around, because it was too much trouble to try and get back in there at the time to eradicate it. I go to Highland Games. Well, there's one here in the San Diego County that I go to on a yearly basis. I would have gone this year, but they didn't hold it due to COVID. It's usually in June. I also do how I got into the English heritage. Work as a unpaid participant at the Southern California Renaissance Fair. Now, they didn't hold the fair this year, so I didn't do that this year. But, that happens. That was also because of the pandemic. I belong to a specific group. We portray actual historic characters, and our group, essentially, we do live steel sword fighting demonstrations. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you will see a video. It's a short video, not real long. Short-ish. It's a few minutes of me performing what is known as the Scholar's Test. At that point in time when that video was made, I was testing for going for the prize, which was I started with my sword training as an apprentice, and I was trying to move up from apprentice to scholar, which is the next level. And in order to do that, I had to do what they call the scholar's routine in front of everybody. And then I was judged on how well I did it. And then the decision by the sword master and head of our school and our fair group, our guild, decides that at that point whether or not, hello Dylan, the other cat is here, whether or not I did sufficiently well to progress in my training. Now, I'm looking away from the camera because I'm chasing a cat around, trying to get a hold of her. Come here, little girl. Come here. I got you. And here's the other cat. Dylan, hello. Say hello, Dylan. Hello, everybody. That's my kitty. She's the youngster. I had one other. She passed away. So I'm down to 2 cats now, which is probably plenty because I'm by myself now after losing my wife. So I met my wife at the Renaissance Fair, and then we started doing the Renaissance Fair pretty much on a full-time basis for the Southern California Renaissance Fair every year. Okay, as this is supposed to be about cooking, I should probably touch on cooking. Okay, I am currently not working. line cook. I was trained as a professional chef, but I've been working for the last since 2003 as a line cook in a hotel restaurant in downtown San Diego. Currently, the restaurant is closed due to the pandemic, so I'm sitting at home, and I figured I'd start doing this sort of thing, trying to get people to come and look at my stream or my website. I have a blog that's on cooking. It's called Complex Cooking. You can look it up, www.complexcooking.xyz, and there you will find assorted recipes that I have put together on my own and ones that I have posted from other sources that have allowed me to do so. I'm also working with a hosting service to advertise. So if you follow I have approximately 7 followers right now on my website or my blog. I'd love to get more. And like I said, if you want to buy something, I don't offer anything on my site, but I have advertisements going where you can go and you can purchase things from them, and then I will, as an associate of theirs, I will receive a percentage. It would be greatly appreciated since I'm collecting unemployment at the moment, and that's not going to last forever. So I would appreciate getting some extra income. But if you just want to look at my site, you're more than welcome. And you're more than welcome to just hang and follow my stream here. You don't have to subscribe. I'm really not sure that I'm set up for subscriptions as of yet. On Twitch I have to have a minimum number of followers before I can actually, so anybody can actually subscribe. So just hook in and let me know what you think. Okay, now about cooking. Like I said, I've been cooking professionally for 25 years. So I'm older than most people you'll find on live streaming. At least the ones that I've seen all seem to be in their 20s, mid-20s, mid-late 20s, which is, and there seems to be a lot of women. Seems like women get better followers. Don't know why. Well, I have my own suspicions about that, but then I'm not going to make any comments about somebody else's stream. That's just like, I will not. If I'm following a particular person, then on Twitch, and I make a comment on things that they're talking about or add my 2 cents worth, I do not promote myself on other people's streams. I think that's rude and it's wrong and shouldn't be done. If someone asks me a direct question, like the person whose stream it is asks me, well, what else are you doing? Then I will give them a quick answer, or I will say, well, I'll send you a direct message because I do not want to promote myself on your stream. That's not what your stream is for. Their stream is to promote themselves and their brand and make money for themselves, not if they tell me to go ahead and they don't mind, then I will do so, but I will not abuse the option. It's just wrong, and if I'm invited to, I will do so. If I'm not invited, I will not. Okay, I don't have a problem myself with cussing and foul language, but I do have some words that I do not want to hear on my stream. Okay. I spent excuse me, I got the hiccups. I spent 6 years in the Air Force, so cussing is not something new to me, but it's something that I don't think should be put out on the internet. Okay. Uh, I find that cussing tends to result from a lack of vocabulary because you're substituting a cuss word for another word that you're not sure what you should put. There are some cuss words that I have totally blocked, and others that I will allow, which can be taken or have multiple meanings. So, like I said, this is just sort of general background on what I prefer to see on my stream. Someone else can allow whatever they want on their stream, and I see a lot of stuff going on streams, and sometimes I wonder how they get away with it, but they seem to get away with it. So I'm not going to condemn any one particular person's stream for anything that goes on their stream. That's their business. If I don't like what I see, I don't watch it. Simple choice. Okay, cooking. Like I said, 25 years experience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about knives. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money on cooking knives. You need a good set. They can be an inexpensive set, or they can be a really expensive set. I have some of each. I have some really cheap ones. I have some really expensive ones. A knife is a knife is a knife. One of the most questions I get asked while I'm working by other people just coming in when they see the knife kit that I carry, which is probably about 40 pounds. I have a number of different knives that I use and a number of different tools that I carry. And the main question I get is, do I really need to have all those knives? The basic answer is no. You don't need to have a large selection of knives. Okay. What you do need to have, as a minimum, is you need to have a good chef's knife. Probably 10 inches is probably a good size. You want the handle to fit your hand. So if it has a really large handle and you have a small hand, then not such a good fit because it's hard to control and hard to get a hold of. I have a couple of knives that have some really small handles, which I find I can use them because I have a lot of experience at handling knives, but also they don't really fit my hand well. So I have to be careful how I hold them. So you got to have a chef's knife. You need a good paring knife. Pretty much that's really all you need for basic cooking. A chef's knife will do your slicing, your chopping, your cutting. A bread knife is nice to have if you're going to be cutting bread. If you're baking your own bread, or you're buying pre-baked bread, like baguettes from the local baker, having a bread knife is a good option. It's a serrated knife. So a serrated knife, bread knife, chef's knife, paring knife. Those are really the only ones you really absolutely have to have. Okay. All the others, boning knife. There's a knife called a bird's beak. It looks like a paring knife, but the blade is curved. A boning knife. You can bone with a chef's knife. You can cut up a chicken with a chef's knife. Or what I have a big butcher's knife that I use for cutting meat and filleting salmon. That is really not necessary unless you're doing that sort of thing a lot. Now, previous to my current job, well, before I got laid off, I was working at a hotel in Yosemite Valley. Actually, I was working at the Ahwahnee Hotel, the premier hotel in Yosemite Valley. And I was the commissaire there for a couple of years. So my main job was making uh, salads, appetizers, cold food preparation for display and for banquets. So I have a lot of things that I collected over the years uh, that helped me do my job. Did I absolutely need them? Probably not. They made my job easier, but I could have worked around it. So that's the thing, is if you've got a good knife, good chef's knife that's long enough and you need to fillet a salmon, you can do it with a chef's knife as long as it's sharp. I use my butcher's knife, which is one I've had for years and years and years. It's a high carbon steel knife. It's not stainless steel. It's hard to sharpen because it's a really hard steel. But once you get it sharp, if you don't abuse it, it stays very sharp. But you do have to watch out for rusting, and they will rust. So a good stainless steel knife is fine. Currently, what I've been using is approximately a $5 chef's knife. It's reasonably lightweight, but the handle fits my hand nicely. It doesn't really hold an edge that well. I have to keep sharpening it, but it does work well. If you prefer a heavy knife, there are knives out there that you can get that are really, really thick and really heavy. Remember, if you're doing this professionally, you're going to be using your knife almost constantly, or at least off and on, for the majority of an 8-hour shift. So if you've got a heavy knife, you better be willing to really work with it, because after 8 hours, your arm's going to be tired, especially when you're first starting out. So a lighter knife is usually what most people prefer. Like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Let's see what my notification. What kind of notifications have I got? Skip frame. Okay, fine. Support bar text, chat box. Okay, I don't think I need to worry about any of that. Okay, I've read everything. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Knives. Now, there's all kinds of specialty knives you can get. They're really not necessary. If you buy a set of knives, you're going to get a whole set of knives. You'll probably get a boning knife, a serrated knife, a slicing knife, chef's knife, paring knife. That's probably about the standard that you can get. Sometimes they'll come in a wooden block, which is nice for storing them because then you're not in a drawer and it's not. The edges aren't banging against each other. Excuse me. I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, so I've been up for 12 hours now, almost 13. So if you'll excuse me. One viewer, huh? That's probably me when I was checking my site to make sure that I was looking at it. Let's see, refresh the chat. Okay, doesn't look like it's anything happening there. Looks like I'm basically talking to dead air. Okay, so, yeah, I'm talking to myself. Well, fine, I talk to myself all the time anyway, so that's new. Like I said, this will go out. It'll be on my site. You can check it out. I'm not going to show any examples of knives because I have so many different knives from so many different companies. If you want to get a really good set of stainless steel knives, okay, I will plug these. I do not get any money from this company. I wish I did, or could. I may look into it, but uh, Cutco. It's a brand of knives which is not commonly known. They are extremely good knives. Mostly you'll see them at county fairs. They'll have a booth or several throughout the fair, and they'll be demonstrating their knives. One of the things that's nice about this company is most companies, you buy a knife, okay, it comes pre-sharpened. Well, more or less, to different levels. Okay. Then you have to get the knife sharpened. Okay, either you pay somebody to sharpen it for you, or you learn how to do it yourself, which can be tricky. I've been sharpening knives because I've been camping for several, more years than I care to think about. So axes, pocket knives, folding knives, I've been sharpening them for years. So I really didn't need to really learn how when I was in culinary school. I really didn't need, they didn't have to teach me how to sharpen a knife. I knew how to sharpen a knife. Okay, a lot of people have trouble sharpening their own knives on a whetstone. Now the term whetstone is basically it's a stone that you essentially sharpen your knife, sharpening stone. You apply water or oil. Now, if you use oil on your sharpening stone, do not use vegetable oil, olive oil, canola oil, any oil that you cook with. Okay? The oil will get sticky, nasty, and rancid. And you don't want that. What you get is you go to the local drugstore or your local Walmart, Walgreens, True Value, hardware store probably has it. But I would stick with more of the grocery store type stores. What you want is mineral oil. Mineral oil is non-toxic. You can eat it. That's one good reason to use it. So if you don't clean your knife off properly and you got a little bit of mineral oil, you're not going to make somebody sick. Okay? It won't hurt anybody. That's the main reason to use mineral oil. The second reason is that it doesn't go rancid on you and it doesn't gum up your sharpening stone. If you're using stones, you're going to want a minimum of 3 different stones. You're going to want a coarse, you're going to want a medium, and you're going to want a fine. A lot of times the fine sharpening stones are known as Arkansas stones. Okay? So if you come across something that says Arkansas stone, that's typically for fine. That puts a final edge on your knife. Sharpening steels, which will come with sets. If you have a set of knives, you will probably get a sharpening steel, or what they call it, sharpening steel. Okay? It is not actually a sharpening steel unless it is a diamond steel. A diamond steel has industrial diamonds embedded into the metal that actually remove metal in order to sharpen it. My recommendation is you don't get one of those. You get a sharpening system that you can either mechanical, electric motor, I have one, or you get stones. Or you can get the ones that you just draw it through and it goes one side and the other side they're beveled, kind of like this, and you draw your knife through equal times on both sides. The angle you're looking for is 20 degrees. Okay, so you need to have a 20-degree angle on your knife blade. The steel is most often you'll see chefs doing like this with a steel. Okay, and you'll see them going really fast. Take your time if you're new at using it. You don't need to go. Usually they have little flanges to protect your hand, but if you're holding it slightly differently, they may not protect your hand. The steel is designed to straighten the edge of the knife. A knife, the cutting edge of a knife, if you look at it under a microscope, looks like a saw. It's got little teeth that are offset to this, off to the side, kind of like this, going down, and all the way down the blade. That's what actually does the cutting. Now, what happens when a knife gets dull is they go from the 20-degree angle and they decrease, so they get knocked out of position. Hence, the knife gets dull. The steel realigns those. Okay, eventually these teeth will wear down and you'll have to sharpen the knife again, depending on how much you use it. How often do you use a steel? Okay. About every 30 minutes of continuous cutting. That's pretty much standard. If you're standing there and you're working professionally and you've been cutting something for about 30 minutes or been using your knife for 30 minutes, cutting, chopping, whatever, it's probably a good time to clean it off, stroke it on the steel a few times, and go back to work. Okay. You shouldn't really have to sharpen. A good quality knife will not need to be sharpened very often. If you're working professionally, like I do, and you're using your knife for the majority of 8 hours every day, you will obviously need to sharpen your knife more often. I need some water. I'm going to take a quick break and get some water. So now I'm back. Got a cup of water. As my voice is getting a little scratchy. Okay, so basically, I've been going at this for 26 minutes. Okay. Woody. So knives. Okay, so serrated knives, you can sharpen them. They're more difficult to sharpen. Most people do not. Once they start getting dull, then they just go and replace them. Places like Costco Business will carry the commercial grade knives. They're not hugely expensive knives. You can get expensive knives, but if you're going to be replacing a knife even just once a year, like a serrated knife, you'll probably want to replace it once every 2 or 3 years. I've got one that I've been using since '95, which I no longer use at work. I use a different knife. One I actually got at Costco Business or regular Costco. You can usually find them. It's an offset knife, so it has the blade, then it goes up, and then it has the handle. Okay, the offset is nice because with a serrated knife that's straight all the way across, I keep banging my knuckles like that on the cutting board. After cutting a while, I ended up with bruised knuckles, so I got tired of that. So I got an offset knife, which I like a lot better. Less likelihood of banging my knuckles, and I don't have to work so far off the cutting board. I can work with this serrated knife directly over the cutting board like you do with the chef knife. So it's just strictly personal preferences. But you're going to want to change that knife more often as it gets dull. You can pay to have it sharpened typically they're not really worth it, especially if you're buying less expensive knives. You know, I do have my whole kit that I got initially. This is a Friedrich Dick set of knives at the school I went to. That's who they got their knife sets from. Was about $1,000, and I got all the knives and some additional tools and stuff for that. Okay. Now you can spend $150 to $200 on a single knife if you want to do that. Strictly up to you. A $200 knife is not any better than a well-maintained $5 knife. So if you're just starting out, especially as a professional cook, and you don't have a set of knives, I would recommend, because if you show up in the kitchen, chances are they're going to expect you to have your own knives, at least a basic set. So you go to Costco, you pick up your $5 chef's knife, you pick up a $4 or $5 serrated knife, you pick up a pack of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 inexpensive paring knives. It might cost you $7 or $8. The prices will vary depending on where you're at in the country and where you're going, but you know, the prices are not hard, fast that I'm giving you. I'm just saying these are the prices that I've seen and that I've paid for knives. And that's all you really need. As long as you maintain it well, it'll do you for years. You can go. And then as you get further into your career, if you intend to become an executive chef or whatever, you may want to have some nicer knives. There's ways of getting nicer knives without actually paying for them. That strictly depends on how well you brand yourself and how well you market yourself. I never got into the marketing when I first started. I was 40 years old when I started cooking, so I was a lot older. There are people that had been working since they were in their teens or right out of high school. Okay, I didn't do that. I spent 6 years in the military right out of high school. And then I went to 4 years of college at California State University. Worked 12 and a half years in a hospital as a laboratory technician because I have a bachelor's degree in biology and a minor in medical technology. Then I decided, well, I'm pretty much as far as I can go unless I go and get my master's. I went and tried and could not get into a master's program. So I decided, okay, I really like cooking. I've been cooking since I left home for myself for the most part, except for the time I was in the military and they were cooking for me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try cooking. And I've had people tell me that I had told me before this that I was really good at it. I did a good job and that I should consider doing this professionally. So I looked into various cooking schools and I chose the one that was in San Francisco. The California Culinary Academy is where I graduated from in 95. I started in January of 94 and I graduated April of 95. Now, that school no longer exists. The California Culinary Academy was a private school. It was bought by the Cordon Bleu group of schools, and then probably within a year or two after that, they decided that they were going to close that campus. So that school no longer exists, unfortunately. The Cordon Bleu schools are excellent schools. If you really want to get a really top-notch resume, I would suggest investing in learning French and then applying to the Cordon Bleu school in France. I'm assuming it's in Paris. If you don't want to go that route, the next option, Johnson & Wales has a school. They're rated as one of the top schools also. Probably the top school in the United States is the CIA, Culinary Institute of America. That's not Central Intelligence Agency, Culinary Institute of America. So Don't get confused. Uh, it's in Hyde Park, New York, I believe, is their campus. They do have a continuing education campus in Napa Valley. At least they did. I don't know if they still do. But so those are the schools. I thought about going to the one in Hyde Park, but because of my circumstances and situation, I had student loans that had to, well, I didn't have student loans at that time, but I had other debts and things I had to take care of. So I opted to go to the one in San Francisco, which allowed me to stay at my aunt's house for a short time before I got an apartment in San Francisco. Uh, but that's because I stayed at my aunt's house in Berkeley for a while. Hold on a moment. I got a phone call coming in. Okay, sorry about that. Phone call to deal with something. Um, I will, I guess I will call it quits for now. Since there doesn't seem to be anybody that's asking any questions or anything. But I will try to be back online on Tuesday. Not sure what time, but just check it out. I will let you know how things are going, and maybe I'll at that time have something that we can I can show you what to do. Thinking about making scones, clotted cream. Well, clotted cream is going to be a little touchy because it takes a couple of days to do, but we can start it and then I can finish it.